Hello, good afternoon. My name is Chase J. Vogel. This is the Contemporary Business Leader Profile. I'm profiling Captain Brandon Ray, and through that profile comparison with General retired James Mattis. So I interviewed Captain Brandon Ray, who currently serves as commander of 3351 Aviation Training Battalion. Under the United States Army, he has currently 2 years within that direct assignment. However, he was a commander of a previous unit, and he also has over 10 years of leadership roles, not just as an officer, but as a non-commissioned officer, senior non-commissioned officer, team sergeant, as well as senior special operations combat medic. With over 10 years of experience in leadership and managing, he applied that to the pilots and crew chiefs, including the maintainers and secondary personnel, and they've demonstrated both stability and growth through that role. This interview helped to clarify how this leader aligns with core organizational behavioral theories. Now, Captain Ray cited their biggest achievement, which directly enhanced the employee morale and stakeholder satisfaction through their approach, exemplifying the core traits in the servant leadership and conceptualization and commitment to the growth of others. Through growing and developing, training, building that competency level, as well as demonstrating his own core competencies, his own ability to fly, his own ability to manage and run his crews, he demonstrated that, and that helped to build that overall confidence in not just him, but his leadership abilities. Well, based on our interview and how we utilize the scoring tool, Brandon as a leader strongly demonstrated traits such as foresight, listening, and healing. For example, it cited regular one-on-one check-ins and listed them as an essential task for cultivating trust. Now, that is one of the foundational views under servant leadership. Brandon attributed these meetings, these leader syncs, as we refer to them in the military, as a way of pulling everybody in, kind of getting a pulse for where everyone's at, listening and understanding to the issues, and then making that risk reward decision based off of the information that he was receiving from his subordinates. Now, regarding challenges, right? So one of the major ethical dilemmas that Captain Ray experienced involved leveraging the experience over spreading the experience. Now, what this means is he had a few excellent crews. He was lending them out so they could train other individuals, but he was also having to figure out how to keep them in the rotation as far as mission sets go, because they were his best. Obviously, we all want to win the game, right? Everybody wants to win the game 20 plus points. You don't have to, but we all like to win. And having to go through and make that ethical choice, right, of supporting others, building that set of core competencies amongst all the other air crews so that he could bring everybody up to that same standard that his best crews were at. Now, Captain Ray viewed the application of transparent communication and reinforcing the organization's core values. Now, this response aligned directly with transformational leadership as it engaged both the morale and strategic dimensions of the issues that he was seeing when he took over. He had to not only build that unit back up once he became the commander, but he had to prepare them for combat rotations, as well as coming back, retraining, fixing, and then stepping forward right back out the door on another mission. Now, As far as how he looked under servant leadership, we're seeing empathy, awareness, and persuasion. Pausing critical deliverables to hold a cross-functional team forum. As I mentioned, those leader syncs, right? Pulling everybody in. Um, and there were times when the best decision was to pause, everybody take a step back, work on the things that they could, and then when they had other opportunities, moving forward with others. In resolving these challenges, the leader, Brandon Ray, leaned on expert and referent power, focusing on their deep operational knowledge and credibility. Articulating clear commitment to their organization's vision, expert application and utilization of personnel, and their airframes to ensure that mission success. Especially as we talk about the internal locuses of control and opportunity recognition. Now, under their leadership theory application, right? So they align with that transformational leadership theory. Now, in comparison, I chose retired General James Mattis. Now, in their comparison, they're both very, very similar. Which, for me, having worked for Brandon in the past, I was glad to see, as both leaders are people that I admire. Emotional intelligence was a big part, and it was something that Brandon actually brought up, as he had to learn how to talk differently. Um, Tones of voices can convey positive and negatives, and that was something that he definitely felt that he needed to work on. Now, those traits and behaviors that we're talking about that he valued most is that integrity, work ethic, and empathy. That was something that he had to learn. Now, as far as the overall behaviors, everybody in the military wants to avoid this one. We all want to be able to provide guidance and see a mission or task complete. Unfortunately, sometimes that does have to happen. Now, what happens when you over micromanage, obviously, you start to lose control, and team members, there's trust issues at that point, and it does hinder that development. Now, as we come to the reflection point, right? So, uh, one of the big reasons that I selected Brandon was the real world success and influential presence. Through this project, I did engage him in critical discussions, necessitating clarifying questions, particularly regarding the entrepreneurial traits such as self-efficacy and risk tolerance. As commanders in the military, that's their job, is to figure out risk, manage that risk, and allow their leaders to perform the task and complete the mission based off of that guidance that he gives. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, that commander is the one that signs off and accepts that risk. Now, these conversations, they did deepen my understanding of the intentional leadership development and reinforced an importance of cultivating adaptability and that overall strategic decision making. Going from a team sergeant, you're looking at what we call the tactical level, moving up to a strategic level, having to understand why those missions need to take place, and then of course, again, we're leveraging that risk. Do we allow the aircraft or those airframes to fly a little bit longer? Depending on how much longer, they're looking at doubling and tripling that maintenance cycle, which means that that aircraft comes out of the sky and off missions for longer than initially needed. Here's my reference page, and I will include as closing. This was an eye-opening experience going through this project. As a non-commissioned officer, retired non-commissioned officer myself, former team sergeant, I have filled a lot of the roles that Brandon himself had. Now, in that, taking that step back and looking at the way he managed the team when I was working for him, those lessons, they spoke words, words of guidance and clarity. And his leadership style was one that I needed when I worked for him. That all being said, this concludes this project. Again, my name is Chase Vogel, and I hope you have had an opportunity to take a pause for some of the slides. Obviously, they were fairly full. Not going to, and something that I've learned in my military career, people can read for themselves. So I hope that it is enjoyed and something is learned from my project. Thank you, and have a great day.